I had lots of mugs in this fire. I mean, not mugs. Well, I did. I had several mugs. They all seem to be somewhat the same because this has been a real popular color for me. The smoky merlot with the iron luster and the sea spray on the inside. It just makes a beautiful mug, and they've been very popular. So I keep doing them, right? And I like them too. So I don't mind having them around if they don't go home with somebody. This, I want to show you and compare the insides with these. These are, I ran out of sea spray, which is kind of a more of a color like this on the inside. It's more like that color. This is textured turquoise on the inside. And it has copper float on the outside. Beautiful, beautiful. This is on stoneware, and it's that wacky spectacular that I don't care for. They have reformulated that clay, and I'm going to have some of that in the next glaze video because I just threw about 100 pounds of it on smaller things, so there'll be a lot to show. But this is really nice. I love this copper float. Textured turquoise moves a little bit, but the iron luster moves a lot. So that's pretty. Though these are all done the same way. This is Arctic blue on the inside. Oh, there we go. This is Arctic blue on the inside. The Arctic blue I thought would be runny, really runny, because I've used it on some stuff before and it ran like crazy. With the Mayco copper float and the Amaco Potter's Choice iron luster, for some reason it didn't run and just really separate the same way that it does on other stuff. See, it just ran like crazy and just really blended on this. And on this, it kind of got to a point and stopped. And so this one probably ran a little bit better. It could be the position in the kiln where, you know, where it was, high or low, middle. Had lots of goblets that had been sitting there for months and months that needed to be glazed and fired. So I have a lot of those. Let's see. Here is rainforest is what this is. And it's a celadon color, and it doesn't run. It's transparent. This is white clay too. This is porcelain right here. And that's what it looks like on porcelain. So you get a lot of transparency there. So on stoneware, it looks like this is what it looks like on stoneware. It isn't quite as transparent. And you're probably going, what in the heck is that contraption she's got there? Well, this is a scroll jar. S-C-R-O-L-L. Scroll jar. I did some research on scroll jars, and I was looking at ancient pottery, stuff that they find in digs, and I came across these, the things that look like this anyway. And I just have this on here. I think they probably, well, I'm pretty sure they probably used leather or some kind of rope to tie their lids on with. But this was all I had, and I happened to have these little beads in the house, and they were blue, and so I took a metallic green Sharpie and changed the color of them just so I could put them on there. That looks pretty decent, I think. So the way this works is you pull the little beads down. Let me see if I'm still on camera. So you loosen these beads, and then you can just take this off because it's loose then, and then you have that. So this is the kind of thing, or a replica of, some scroll jars that were found in caves in the Middle East, and there were some books of the Bible that were written by some of the authors of parts of the Bible, and the scrolls were in these jars in these caves that were very high up the side of a cliff, and they survived in these kind of jars. So this looks like them, and they have little loops on the side like this. Some of the this loop is going this way so that you have to stick the rope down through there, but some of them were up and down so that you could stick the cord through it from side. And so anyway, so let me put this all back together. You just loop that. So this goes over here, and this one goes over here. Oops. This is some kind of plastic stuff I had in my stash. So then you pull this kind of tight, and then you slide the bead back up there. Now, some of the beads were found with the jars, but the cords that were used apparently disintegrated over time, but they were just found right there with the jars, and the scrolls were intact inside, and of course they were very brittle, but they were preserved, and some of them are called Gnostic Gospels, and some of them are just letters, and it's just amazing. So I don't know why those were hidden in a cave, but it's amazing to me that they were found in good condition inside a pottery jar with a lid on it, with obviously some kind of a thing that tied it to keep the lid on it. This is a little shrimp cocktail server thing. It's got a bowl here, and you put ice and ice water in the interior of it, and then this is where the cocktail part of the shrimp cocktail you put in there to keep it cold. And this is the black celadon. Oh no, it's actually called obsidian, and then it has iron luster and a little tiny bit of Arctic blue, which gave me this nice. The iron luster didn't do too much on the obsidian by itself. It just kind of turned gray, but this Arctic blue is beautiful on there. There's the other side. So again, obsidian, same treatment on the rim. Kind of has a greenish color. In the bottom, it's on porcelain. Both of these are porcelain. Here's Miss Smoky Merlot with, I believe that's iron luster on the out. No. This is Smoky Merlot with sea spray over the top, just a little bit in some places. It kind of got lost, but it's a very subtle. Where's my flashlight? It's got some very subtle coloring on the top. Find your light, darling. There's your little tail. I need to find some corks that are big enough to go in here because I think a quarter may fit through that, and I don't want that to happen. We'll see what we can do with that. I may have made the slot too small there. These goblets are raw clay, and this is that spectacular with the big pieces in it. And so I have textured turquoise on the interior and iron luster on the rim. That turned out well. And I I may have to sand this down a little bit because the clay has kind of a gritty feel to it, but it's not uncomfortable at all. And I haven't decided whether I like this or not. And here's sometimes I make lids for things, and we know that little pieces like this can be used for things other than drinking wine from. So sometimes it's nice to have a little lid. So here's another one I did the same way. And there's the interior. You know that those big pieces of manganese that they use for the specs in this, it's not bad. It just is hard to deal with. So we'll see what this new clay turns out to be like when I get some of it fired. Here's this is also copper float. I put Arctic blue on the inside and iron luster on the rim. It needs another color to really pop it out because it looks kind of blah on this. This is on porcelain. Maybe it's the porcelain that does that. And also my iron luster, when I was dipping these, my iron luster was a little thinner than normal, so it didn't pool and run the way it normally does. That could be part of the deal. There's the lid that goes to that. These two pieces are both do-overs. This one, the bowl, this is obsidian with Arctic blue and Smoky Merlot around the rim. And I love how this works. I love it. This is a very, very bright bowl. Let me turn it over here. I was afraid to put too much on the outside, but the obsidian, the Celadon glazes tend to capture a runny glaze and keep it from being a disaster. And so I could have probably put more on the outside of this. And then I would have had something that looked more like that. On the outside. Okay, and the reason I did this one over is because the first time I fired it, it had a great big pit on the side of it here. It was either on the inside or the outside, I can't remember, but it's perfect now. This is a beautiful perfect bowl. It's ready to go home with somebody. Now this one, I've had this for years, and it's a casserole. So the first treatment that it got was it had a wax resist glaze just like this. This is where it's the same kind of clay. I had wax in the places where you don't see the blue, and the blue is the glaze. So this pot had that kind of a treatment on it, and you can see, if you, I don't know, you can sort of see where there's some texture on here where there wasn't any glaze before. Okay, so in my effort, so let's see, what happened to this one? This one, I had to fire it. This was, well, actually, this was back when I was sharing space in a studio, and it was a public studio, and somebody else was loading the kiln. The lid got fired on one shelf. The base of it got fired on another shelf, and they came out looking like they didn't even belong to each other, and that they just didn't look like they belonged together. On this one, you can really see where the wax resist was. So what I did, so that was the first fire. That was just, it just looked totally like it didn't belong together. So then I put some clear matte glaze on it. Mayco makes it, and so I put that on there, fired it, and it still looked terrible. But I used it. I like to bake vegetables. So then the other day, while I was putting stuff in the kiln, I thought, well, let's see what we can do with this. So, and I like how that obsidian is working on things, or the celadon, not just the obsidian, but the celadon too, just the glaze itself. So then I put obsidian on it, and this is just remarkable, the results. And it was totally accidental, but now the piece goes together. I mean, both pieces now are the same, and they look good together. So I put obsidian over the whole thing. Now, if you look really close, you can see little sparkles. And from experience in using the matte clear, it does that underneath another glaze. Everybody thinks of putting something clear on top as the last coat, but this was underneath, and it looks like it's got little water spots, or little, it looks like just little pieces of glitter or something underneath the glaze. And it's not real apparent. It doesn't stick out. So you have to look close to see this. But it has really turned out well. You might be able to see it better in here. And the black, the obsidian is black, but it had this blue retail on it to start with. And here's the inside of it, so you can sort of see those little glittery spots there. But it's completely sealed, and it was sealed even before, and I was using it, so I wouldn't hesitate to use this now, or continue to use it, I guess. So I wanted to show you that. So this one and this one are my do-overs from this batch. Now this is my yarn bowl. It's one of them. This one This is not the yarn ball that you've seen in the last couple of videos. This one, sitting on something. This one is one that I had from months and months ago. And here's my sock that's partially finished. This is going to be a very long wool sock. Woo! Goes up to my knees, and it scrunches down on your ankles because we get cold winters and I need this. So so here it is. This is my yarn. Let's see. The yarn ball is right here, and you just pull the thread of yarn right down through there and pull it out of here. Now, I made this pretty heavy. My countertop is not even. I made this pretty heavy so that it wouldn't go anywhere while it's being used. So you could pull it out this way, straight out, as long as your yarn ball doesn't get smaller than that hole, and you can just pull it out. And when you're done, you just come back through there. So there's that. And this has, what color is this? This is Blue Midnight inside. I can never tell if you can see that or not. So that's a beautiful, beautiful color on the inside there. And this copper float is a metallic. It doesn't run. It's by Mayco, and that turned out really, really well. So there's that. Here are the glazes that I used. Oh, and here's a goblet that's on porcelain, obsidian with I believe that's Arctic blue. Excuse me. I believe this is Arctic blue around the top, and it's textured turquoise on the inside. These are most of the glazes that I used on this batch. Here's Smoky Merlot, textured turquoise. There's an empty jar of Smoky Merlot. Don't know why that's there. Whoops. And Iron Luster, my old standby. Blue Midnight, Sea Spray by Opulence. Copper Float is a Mayco. Here's my Arctic Blue. I put it in this so that I could dip my rims into it. Obsidian and Rainforest. Remember, Rainforest is this color on stoneware, and this color on porcelain. So there are the two. The left one is on porcelain, and the one on the right is on buff colored stoneware. One of the reasons I think my iron luster was a little thin is because it did this on Sea Spray, and it doesn't usually do that. This is the only kind of almost a boo-boo that I had. I had this sitting on a cookie that kept it raised, because putting Sea Spray on the outside of anything is dangerous because it runs. It is so runny. And so this is the only place it ran. It doesn't sit level, but it didn't stick to the shelf because I had it on the cookies, so I'm just going to be able to grind that off and it'll be just fine. But the iron luster just totally spread out in this, so probably have too much water in it for right now. So I'll evaporate that a little bit and see what happens. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Be safe and be well. Love you. Bye-bye.